and y'all spec. It hits that me, that's facts. I'm still coming for a play. When I hear something, shut up, 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 shut up.
The decks are in, and I couldn't be prouder, dude. It must have been a real stinger in your side to make decks this cool. But you proved your stripes as a deck builder, and I'm proud of you. The Elder Dragon deck submissions are in from the Community Deck Challenge from last month. If you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, each month I will give you guys a Community Deck Challenge with some kind of deck building stipulation. You can submit your deck list over on the Discord, and in a future video, I will talk about my 3 favorites from that month. If you want to stay up to date on what the Community Deck Challenges are, be sure to go check out the Discord. It's in the description. Like I said, decks are in, and I picked my 3 favorite ones off of 3 things mainly. How fun it looked to play, how creative the deck is, and how powerful the deck looked. So off of those, we have our 3 finalists. Down below you can find everybody that submitted a deck, so if you want to give a look at everyone's deck, please go check them out, because they're all awesome. This was really difficult to pick my favorite 3, but now that all this hubbub is done, I'm done buzzing in your ear. So, the first deck I want to talk about that made our top 3 is Magic Strix's Palladium Moor deck. Palladium Moor is 3, a red, a green, and a white for a 6/6, flying, vigilance, and trample. Palladium Moors has hexproof if it hasn't dealt damage yet. So Magic Strix decided to use all those keywords paired with some cards that really care about keywords to get a really powerful and unique build in. Jumping into the primer, Magic Strix says, while looking through the list of potential Elder Dragons, the sheer amount of evergreen terms on Palladium Moors the Ruiner caught my eye. My mind instantly went to Odric Lunarch Marshal, and to my surprise, Odric or Keyword Tribal was nowhere to be seen on Palladia's EDH rec. Right off the bat, this checks the box for creativity. If it's nowhere on EDH rec, I love it then. On top of just making a lot of sense, because Palladia loses hexproof when she does damage, so she's just kind of sitting there waiting for, you know, something to come along and be useful. He goes on to say the main game plan of the deck is to get a bunch of tokens, Odric and Palladia, to create an army of keyworded tokens that could easily be buffed. For a little extra spice to improve cohesion amongst parts, I included some cards that naturally have synergy with keywords like Achroma, Vision of Ixidor, synergy with tokens like Adeline, Resplendent Cathar, or synergy with Odric like Finn the Fangbearer, which can lead to a small poison sub-theme. Clearly he has plenty of ways to win. We all know that token decks, they're pretty good all game. Early game, they're pretty aggressive. Mid game, they're great at keeping back big threats while still going wide. Late game, once they acquire all these buffs, yeah, great. Magic Strix goes on to say, the first thing that needed to be added if we wanted to see my commander was ways to tutor or cheat him out of the deck. So we run cards like Worldly Tutor, Balaged Recovery, Court of Calling, Search for Glory. And the next thing we need to do was make tokens. So cards like Pest Infestation, Skrelv's Hive, White Sun Twilight, and Assembled a Legion can all provide that really well. Along with the classic token game enders like Craterhoof, Doubling Season, the deck has a lot of routes to just be a strong token deck, but with a commander that can protect itself so well and just kind of sits and wait for this super explosive swing, I think the deck's really, really unique and cool. If I had to suggest a card for it, though, I would say Feldar's Retreat would be really good in this list, being an enchantment that can make 2/2 tokens every time you play a land, but more importantly, can buff your entire board with 1/1 counters, as well as giving them Vigilance, a keyword, until end of turn. A few cards that Magic Strix wanted me to point out of the deck is Sire of Seven Deaths, which, yeah, 6 keywords on it. That's going to be pretty good, honestly. Yeah, I think with the Odric game plan, that's going to be, yeah, great. Aura Shards, he's one of those guys. Don't worry, so am I. I love Aura Shards in token decks. It's insane. Thousand Moon Smithy is another great one. It's just a token generator that gets bigger off the amount of tokens it generates. And, you know, I agree with you here, Magic Strix. It's pretty crazy. Very cool build. If that build interests you, there's a full link to the deck list down below so you can get a more in-depth look of every single card that he decided to put in. Absolutely love this concept for a deck. One of the cooler Elder Dragon concepts I've ever seen. So if you've been looking for an Elder Dragon deck, maybe consider that one, or one of these next 2. So the next deck I want to talk about is Time Warped's Arcades Sabbath Dinosaur Enrage deck. So right off the bat, creativity, 10 out of 10. Absolutely. You got the hook. That's what a hook is, and you got it. Arcades Sabbath is 2 green, 2 white, and 2 blue for a 7/7 with flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice him unless you pay a white, a green, and a blue. Each untapped creature you control gets +0/+2 as long as it's not attacking. and pay 1 white, Arcades Sabbath gets +0/+1 until end of turn. Time Warp submitted this deck and also said on Discord that he did a couple touch-ups, but here's the submission. It's an enraged deck with Dino Tribal cards to make this a prehistorically deadly as possible. The goal of this deck is to give our dinosaurs some BBLs using Arcades and fighting our opponent's creatures for value. The end game is to ensure that we are top banana on the board to swing hard once nobody else can, using stuff like Endrace Forerunners and Moonshaker to seal the deal. Bon appetit, mes amis. Oui. A Bant dinosaur deck that uses the fight mechanic to trigger Enrage on dinosaurs. That's pretty insane. If you're not familiar with Enrage, it is a mechanic that makes creatures trigger a certain ability when they're dealt damage. So if you fight with those creatures, that's a really cool way to get the Enrage to go off. So he's got cards like Apex Altosaurus, which has Enrage. Whenever it's dealt damage, it fights up to 1 target creature. So you can fight chain with this thing and, you know, pretty much wipe out a board, while also having other cards that don't technically have Enrage but perform the exact same as cards that do have Enrage, like Metropolis Reformer, who is 2 and a white for a 2/3, flying, vigilance, you have hexproof, whenever it's dealt damage, you gain that much life, or Body of Knowledge, which power and toughness scales with your hand size, and you draw cards when it's dealt damage. Now pair these Enraged creatures with fight spells like Bridgeworks Battle, or Kalani Ambush, or Savage Stomp, and you're getting some really good Enrage triggers. Not to even mention Aggressive Biomancy, which is insane in this list, super solid add Time Warped, being 2x, a green and a blue for a sorcery, where you create X tokens that are a copy of target creature, except they have, when this creature enters, it fights another creature. Past the basic card draw, mana ramp, and removal, this dinosaur, Bant, big butts, BBL, fight deck, Enrage trigger powerhouse that goes wide at the end of the game after it's done wiping all your creatures by fighting them and getting tons of triggers off of it is extremely unique. I really like it, Time Warped. Like, if you want to check out the full list, Moxfield links are down below. This one is incredibly unique. Honestly, never thought I'd see an Enraged Dino deck in Bant. Moving on to our third and final top 3 deck of the video, which is Adorkable Mia's Dragonlord Salumgar deck. Mia chose Dragonlord Salumgar, who is 4, a blue and a black for a 3/5 with flying and death touch. Whenever Dragonlord Salumgar enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature or planeswalker for as long as you control Dragonlord Salumgar. And honestly, she sent this thing in with one hell of a primer, so let's give that a read. Whether you realize it or not, every commander secretly wants blood. They didn't invent commander damage as a mechanic just so you can use Giada Font of Hope as a mana rock. This deck is designed to liberate other people's commanders and give them the chance to truly flourish. In other words, we're going to play Voltron with other people's commander. Keep in mind, Dragonlord Salumgar does actually let us steal more than just people's commanders. It's up to you as the player to decide in the moment who the best candidate to be Voltroned is. Dragonlord Salumgar also allows us to steal any planeswalker we want, and while that might not seem useful, we have Luxor Giada's Gift to set us up for quite possibly the funniest interaction you could have at an LGS, especially if one of your opponents is running one of the planeswalker commanders, which I'm sure is what she's getting at. You can Voltron with those as well in this deck. Has all the routes. When it comes to the actual Voltroning of whatever we've stolen, cards like Hot Soup or Captain's Hook become great pieces of value because the downside of losing the creature doesn't matter to us. As Jeremy Clarkson once said, the fastest car in the world is a rental. But of course, there are plenty of equipment pieces whose sole purpose is to turn whatever you've stolen into the beast it's always wanted to be. She then goes on to talk about a couple rules interactions, which she puts way more eloquently than I would ever be able to. So, with this deck, there's a couple of weird rules interactions that you as the pilot should be aware of, because they're likely to come up in a game. First of all, if you do steal someone's commander and juice it up, you will be doing commander damage to other people, which is hilarious. What's less fun, for us at least, is that if we for whatever reason lose Dragonlord Salumgar, we also lose control of whatever we've taken, excluding everything we've equipped to it, sorta. Technically, we still have control over the equipments we've placed on someone else's creature, but it stays equipped until we decide to unequip it. Effects from things like Adaptive Omni Tool will continue to trigger and benefit us when they do. Basically, it's extremely important to protect not only the creature you're Voltroning, but Dragonlord Salumgar as well. If you decide to make deals and intend to borrow someone else's creature to kill someone else, then you can give it back, so to speak, with a handful of blink effects in the deck, like Essence Flux, for example, which says owner's control, meaning that it'll return to whoever you stole it from initially.
Displace is especially fun because you can also blink Dragonlord Salumgar as well, which will allow you to both return the creature and steal a new one. Lastly, I want to highlight Trinket Mage because he acts like a single-use toolbox piece. If you see a powerful Planeswalker on the battlefield, Trinket Mage can let you look for the aforementioned Luxor's Gyada's Gift. If someone's commander has Swiftfoot Boots or another protection piece, you can instead look for Glaring Spotlight or Shadow Spear. Personally, I'd recommend Glaring Spotlight because it doubles as a protection piece and win condition with the unblockable. But in the event you just have Anchor of Reality, Shadow Spear works great too. Eater of Virtue has the potential to work great alongside cards like Captain's Hook in a game where someone's playing a keyword-heavy deck as well. Uh-oh, watch out, the Odric player. You got a opponent right here. Please make sure you've real zeroed this beforehand. Not everyone enjoys playing against theft, let alone commander theft, and I don't want to be the reason you get in an argument. Go ahead, Mia. Be the reason they get into an argument, because I absolutely love this deck. A Salumgar Dimir build that is just based around snagging other people's commanders to turn them into Voltron commanders is extremely cool to me. Oh, you're running Feldegriff? Do you care if I snag it really quick? Cool, I'm gonna throw Black Blade and Excalibur on it, you son of a bitch. You're seriously gonna kill my Salumgar to try to get back your commander? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and blink it. Don't worry, I'm not going to take back your commander. But I will take that Blightsteel Colossus over here. Thanks. And it's coming your way, you sack of shit. You better be careful. You better wasp yourself. One, definitely like 3 of the coolest decks I've ever seen. Let alone under the restriction of having to be Elder Dragon decks. All 3 of these I could see myself building. They're very fun, very creative. They look like they're strong to play. If any of you guys actually plan on building these decks, let me know how they run, because they all were really cool. Again, as I said at the beginning, this was really hard to pick just the top 3. If you want to look at all the deck list, again, they're down below in the Mox Field list. If you want to show some additional support, be sure to check out the Patreon. It starts as low as $1. And my buddy over here wants to tell you about our TCGPlayer affiliate link. And after that, I'm going to peace out. I'll see you guys next time.
Hey, what's up? When you're not busy on the road with groupies, rocking out, like I know all you guys are, you probably want to pick up some Magic cards. And if you do, consider using my TCG affiliate link. Rock on.